Let's start with number 1. It says a marble will be randomly selected from a bag of solid colored marbles. The probability of selecting a red marble is 5/19. You already have the probability of red. And then the probability of selecting a blue is 4/19. What is the probability of selecting a red or a blue marble? So the probability of something is supposed to be the wanted over the total. If they said that this is the probability of red, then this means there are 5 red over the total of 19 other solid colored marbles. And then this means as well that this 4 represents the number of blue marbles. So if they need me to find the probability of selecting red or blue, it means I'm supposed to add them up. The red or, which means plus the blue, which are 4, over the same total, which is the 19. So it's 9/19. That's what this probability is supposed to be, which is B. Does that make sense? All right. Moving on to number 2. It says in number 2, the graph below shows the number of students who were present on Thursday from each of the 5 groups in Miss Megan's class. What is the probability that a student selected at random from the class on Thursday is in group 4? So again, if they need me or they're asking for the probability, it's the same rule, which is the wanted over the total. And apparently the wanted are the people from group 4. This is what we consider wanted. So we go back to the graph and we check. These are the group numbers and these are the number of students, which means group number 4 is this bar here. So we go for this bar and we check what are the number of students. They were 2. So the wanted is just 2 over the total, which are the total number of students, which means I have to add up all the number of students in all the groups. So I'll go for group 1 and I'll realize they have 8. Group 2 have 12, so that's a total of 20. Group 3 has 6, so 26 in total now. And group 4 as well has 2, which means that the total is 28. Now, whenever we put a fraction like this, it must be simplified. 2/28 divided by 2 up and down will become 1/14. So then when you look at the choices, G must be the correct choice. Does this make sense? Perfect. Let's move to number 3. Number 3, you're given an equation and you're then given the value of one of the variables. This is the equation. K equals 7/5 J plus 54. And then you're told for what value of J is the value of K equals to 40. So it's like you're given already the value of K, 40. Substitute that into the equation. So بدل K, I'll substitute 40. Now I have an equation that could be easily solved to find the value of J. أول حاجة, I have to remove the 54 and put it to the other side with a negative sign. So it's 40 minus 54 equals to 7/5 J, which means negative 14 is equals to 7/5 J. Now move the 7/5 to the other side by division. So this means that J is equals to negative 14 multiplied by بفلip الفراكشن 5/7. طبعا all of this could be easily done on a calculator. Then the answer would become negative 10. So the value of J is negative 10, which means A is the correct answer. Yes, please.
Mister, why did we flip the fraction?
Okay, so I cannot really divide something by a fraction. Instead, we switch it to multiplication and we flip the fraction itself. And if there are two fractions divided by each other, then we keep the first fraction as it is, but we still multiply and we flip the second fraction only. Then once we multiply the fractions, we multiply numerators by each other and then denominators by each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay. I did the right thing, I just didn't flip your fraction, so I got a different answer.
That's okay, but then I would strongly recommend, since you're already allowed the calculator, not to even bother about thinking about those tiny things, because they actually add up to be a bit stressful through the test. You're allowed the calculator, so right away go through the division or the calculations, every single detail on a calculator, and get it over with. It loads up, or it adds up to the thinking process.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
مثال هو بصراحة أنا I made it easier كده for myself ورحت حطيت ال J بنيجاتيف 10 فبعد كده طلعت لي الأنسر 40 فعرفت إن هي نيجاتيف 10.
It works طبعا برضه because you have your calculator with you فالsubstitution بيبقى سهل. So you can try out the choices. أنا generally I don't recommend trying out the choices except في الactual test. بس لو احنا بنحل او you're still in a class او في homework حتى I would strongly still recommend انك تحاولي تعمليها step by step كده لانه يعني ممكن يجي السؤال كله على بعضه زي ما هو بس من غير ارقام خالص، هو عايز بس الجي في ناحيه لوحدها مثلا بكام. So الايديا بتاعت ان انا move الحاجات من one side of the equation to the other side انا I have to be very good at it. Does this make sense شويه ولا مش قوي؟
هو it makes sense بس حضرتك قصدك إيه أول لما قلت ممكن ما يكونش فيه أرقام؟
يعني افرضي ان الايكويشن كلها مكتوبه عباره عن letters. خليني اوريكي one of the يعني examples. مثلا imagine لو أنا عندي C equals 7/5 J plus K وأنا I need to find J in terms of everything else. يعني عايز ال J في ناحية لوحدها. So لازم أعرف إن أنا هموف ال K الناحية التانية الأول بالماينس تبقى C minus K equals to 7/5 times J وبعدين اموف ال 7/5 الناحية التانية بالديفيجن فتبقى C minus K كلها على بعضها كده divided by 7/5 كل ده equals to J. sorry J
هو ليه بالديفيجن يا مستر مش multiplication؟
ما هو بعدين هقوم عامل غصب عني هضطر اعمل multiplication وهفلip الفراكشن خليه 5/7 زي ما احنا كنا لسه بنقول فيبقى في الاخر عندي 5 فوق وجنبها ال C minus K وكل ده divided by 7 equals to J فتبقى الانسر مكتوبة كلها فيها letters وحاجات كده. ففكرة بس الموفمنت بتاعت الأرقام أو ال terms from one side to the other side we have to actually be very good at it. طبعا again in an actual test so that you don't waste time and since you already allowed the calculator ممكن يكون ال trying out is faster so do that in the test بس ما تعملوش كده أو حاول ما تعمليش كده إحنا في الكلاس العادي فاهمة؟
أوكي حاضر.
Very
Merci,
well done.
Mr.
It's a very good fast way to do it. Thank you, يا حبيبتي. Now let's check number 4. Number 4 is an absolute expression and you're given already the value of this x ب 8. So in the absolute just put 3 minus 8. That would turn out to be inside the absolute -5. When we remove the absolute or when it comes out of the absolute it becomes +5. So the final answer must be H. This is definitely considered a gift in the test. Yeah. Moving right away to number 5. It says here when Tyrese fell asleep one night, the temperature was 24 Fahrenheit. When Tyrese awoke the next morning, the temperature was -16 Fahrenheit. Let the positive sign denote a rise in the temperature and the negative sign denote a drop in the temperature. What was the change in temperature from the time Tyrese fell asleep until the time he awoke? Now we need to explain شوية what does that mean. The positive sign meaning denotes a rise in the temperature and the negative sign denotes a drop. What does that mean? It means that whenever you see a positive sign, it means they said that they started from a specific temperature and they increased, or the temperature increased by that amount. So لو ال temperature من ساعة ما هو نام لحد ما صحي, if the temperature increased, the answer must be positive. لو ال temperature من ساعة ما نام لحد ما صحي ال temperature decreased, then the answer must be negative. That's what they're trying to tell you. أو has a negative sign. Yeah. So when you look at the temperature, you started at 24 and then it ended up to become negative 16. This means it dropped. So this means that the answer must be negative. It can't be C, it can't be D, it can't be E. So it's either A or B. Now think about it. How many degrees did it fall from 24 to negative 16? Whenever we need to get the difference between one number and the other one, it literally represents subtraction. So you just need to put 24 minus the negative 16 in a bracket, which is a total of 40. So there's a 40 degrees Fahrenheit drop from once they started to once he woke up. So that's why A is the correct answer. Are we good? All right. Moving on to number 6. Ali, ya habibi, you're good? Everything's okay? Perfect. Right. Number 6. It says here, Ming purchased a car that had a purchase price of $5,400, which included all other costs and tax. She paid $1,000 as a down payment and got a loan for the rest of the purchase price. Ming paid off the loan by making 28 payments of $200 each. The total of all her payments, including the down payment, was how much more than the car's purchase price? So, first of all, there's a key word here. Whenever in any question whatsoever they're asking, or there's this question of how much more is something than something, or how much less. So how much more or how much less means right away that you have to subtract two things minus each other. So there has to be two things that are subtracted. If I need to know how much more did I get, مثلا, money-wise, I'll subtract whatever I had now minus whatever I had earlier. So if they're asking for what the total of all her payments was how much more than the car's purchase price, then I have to get the total of all her payments. ده الحاجة اللي في الأول. And then get the car's purchase price and subtract those from each other. This is how I get how much more is this than that. When you check the details, first of all, what's the total payment? She first paid a down payment of 1,000 and then she added to that a 28 payments. Each of those costs $200, which means we have to multiply 28 by 200 and add this to the down payment اللي اتدفع في الأول. This is altogether the total payment that she paid for the car. On the other hand, the actual price of the car was stated at the very beginning, which is 5,400. So I'll subtract from this the actual price of the car, which is 5,400. And that's how you get the difference. So when you calculate this is a total of 5,600 plus 1,000, so that's 6,600 minus 5,400, 400, 6,000. It's a difference of $1,200. So G is the correct answer. Does this make sense, everyone? Perfect. Again, الفكرة مش في بس how we solve this exact question. الفكرة في the process of thought. How did the plan, first of all, where did we start and why? And then once we created the plan, how did the actual plan go until we got to the end goal? That's what matters. It's a story كده. Now, let's check number 7. Shown below is a regular hexagon inscribed in a circle whose radius is 4. So the hexagon is a 6-sided shape. or a polygon, 6-sided polygon, that's a hexagon. Regular means that all the sides are equal. So it means that this is equals to this is equals to this, this, and that. And you're told that this radius is 4. And then I told you that, if you remember last class as well. The radii of any circle are equal. So this is another 4, and this is another 4, and so on. Type, what is the parameter of the hexagon? If every single radius here is 4, and this is a regular hexagon, then this must be each of those 60 degrees, which means each of the triangles is an equilateral triangle, which means that each one of those sides of the hexagon has a measure of 4 inches as well. If you think about the parameter, it's the sum of all the sides, so it's 6 sides and then multiplied by 4, which is a total of 24. This is the parameter, E. Does this make sense? احنا حلينا سؤال زي ده بالظبط. How did I know بالظبط ان each one of those angles is 60? It's because if you split those number of angles among or divided by 360, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 angles. So 360 divided by 6 would give you 60. And this is how we knew then that each angle here is 60. And then because these are equal, then these must be equal as well. Then it's also 60. And that's how we figured out every one of those is an equilateral triangle. This is a floor plan for an L-shaped storage building, and the distance is marked in on every line in feet. What is the floor area? So if I need the area of this shape, remember that this is an irregular shape. يعني إيه irregular؟ يعني it's not one of the ordinary well-known shapes, squares, rectangles, triangles, hexagons, and so on. It's a composite shape. It has 2 shapes in it. The best thing to do is to split this shape into 2 parts. That's the best way to think about it. So you can split it this way, or you can split it the other way, and in both cases it will give you the same exact answer. And you're going to try and work on each part separately. First of all, when you're looking at this part here, this rectangle, the area of any rectangle is supposed to be length times width, and you clearly have the width of this rectangle, and you have the length of the rectangle as well. So it's 22 multiplied by 40, which is 880. That's the first area of this part. Now the other part. So in order to get the area of this part, you need the length times the width. And apparently, yes, we do have here the width, but we do not have the length, which is this part only, or this part only. We know that this whole side is 50, and that this part of it is 22. So until here, it's 22. What's the remaining part? I'll do 50 minus 22, and that would get me 28. So I know now that this length is 28. So then the area of this part is 28 multiplied by 22, which is a total of 616. So now I have the area of this part as well. The total area of the whole shape is the 880 plus the 616. 1496 J. Does this make sense? We're good?
مستر هو أنا اتلخبطت شوية بس.
اوكي يا حبيبتي، تعالي برضو قولي لي فهمتي ايه لحد فين، عشان تحاولي تشرحي. كل ما تشرحي او تحاولي تشرحي كل ما المفروض تفهمي منها اكتر. So what do you think?
أنا مش عارفة ليه عملنا الأول times 40.
احنا عايزين نجيب ايه؟ الاريا بتاعت الشيب، صح؟ So فهمتي ان احنا قسمنا الشيب، صح؟
No.
اوكي. تعالي نتكلم على الريد بورت. مش ده يعتبر rectangle؟ What's the area of a rectangle?
length times width.
Okay, so I got the area of the rectangle. فين اللينث؟ اهو 22. سوري الويدث اهو 22 واللينث هو ده ال 40 صح؟ So عشان كده عملت ال 22 times ال 40. Are we good?
Okay.
So ده جاب لي الاريا بتاعت الريد بارت. البلو بقى بارت فين اللينث والويدث بتوعهم؟ المفروض يكون ده هنا كده
يبقى ال 22.
ماشي. طب التاني بقى المفروض يكون الحتة دي كده بس صح؟ أو اللي فوق دول ما هم قد بعض برضه صح؟ طيب لو احنا ما كناش نعرف دي بكام فنعرف ازاي؟ this whole part كده السايد ده كله كده على بعضه ب 50 بس لحد الريد
50
بارت
minus 22.
ال 22 دي فهجيب لي هنا ال 28 التانية. so then the area بقت دلوقتي 28 times 22 دي الحتة البلو. التوتال بقى كل دول على بعض. so الاريا بتاعت ال A red part مع الاريا بتاعت B the other part وطلعنا التوتال اريا. make sense؟
Okay.
بس
فهمت. Thank you.
you're most welcome. please ask على طول. number 9 a quadrilateral with vertices -2 and 0. So if you just put the point here -2 and 0 and then 0 and 4, so it's like somewhere here, and then 5 and 5, so 5 on the x, 5 on the y, 1 2 3 4 5, and then 8 and 2, so 1 2 3. Whoa, very weird quadrilateral. So what type of I think I did something wrong by the way.
الإكس يا مستر.
لا B
نيجاتيف إكس.
لا كانت 0 على الإكس 4 على الواي دي كده المفروض تبقى أنا غلطت قوي. -2 0 sorry 0 and 4 1 2 3 4 يا نهار أسود. ماشي so this is the shape actually. 8 and 2. So it looks like a trapezoid. It's not a kite, it's not a parallelogram, it's a trapezoid. So the kite would have this shape definitely, and we know the parallelogram would have this shape. معلش طبعا excuse my beautiful drawing. What else? Rectangle is just one with 90 degrees definitely, and the square is one with 90 degrees where all the sides are equal to each other. So the only remaining one is the trapezoid. Now the trapezoid, best the common or the most important thing to recognize about the trapezoid is that there are two bases, one small and the other one is big, and those two opposite sides are equal but they're not parallel to each other. I think this is a gift برضه مش رخم.
بس هو أنا أتخيلها بس ازاي عشان ده السؤال اللي كان عندي وأنا بحلها.
You can't. لا المفروض تحطي ما هي ده كان يعني عشان ده امتحان قديم شويتين بس كان بيبر عادي بيزد فكان المفروض يبقى معاكي ورقة وبتحطي البوينتس عليها وكده مش كان كمبيوترايزد لسه. بس طبعا
أيوة ما هو صعب عشان هو كمبيوترايزد دلوقتي.
أيوة ما هو لا مش هيحصل بقى إنه يجي نفس الأيديا كده تاني لا. يعني مش هيجي حاجة يا إما هيبقى مثلا إيه you're able to move the points but this will happen in the SAT مش في ال ACT. بس يعني أقصد إنه خلاص يعني التكنولوجي will come in change الحتة دي بس you'll have some way إنك تبقي شايفة الشيب فاهمة؟
فاهمة.
Mr.
Yes, most of
during the ACT, can we have like an extra paper minimum to
draft?
No? Okay, good. عشان I was so worried about that.
لا يعني لا it makes sense طبعا.
أنا
واحد من الناس I always recommend you must have some sort of drafts إنه برضه it eases الضغط بتاع التفكير.
Yeah, exactly.
طيب تعالوا نتشيك number 10. number 10 بيقول لي given that f of x is this and g of x is that, what's f of g of 4? And we took and worked on this a lot. We work from the inside out. نجيب الأول g of 4 بكام؟ اللي جوه الأول بكام؟ What's g of 4? It means إن I'm supposed to take ال 4 دي and go for the function اللي اسمها g وأشيل ال x بتاعتها وأحط مكانها 4. So 4 in a bracket to the power of 2 over 2. This is g of 4. Once we got g of 4 اللي هي ب 16 over 2 يعني ب 8. دلوقتي this means إن إحنا عايزين نجيب f of 8 اللي هي f of g of 4 يعني f of 8. So f of 8 أعمل إيه؟ أروح للفانكشن اللي اسمها f remove its x وsubstitute ال 8 وبعدين plus 7. 3 times 8 would become 24 plus the 7, so that's a total of 31. That's your answer, H. Any questions there? Perfect. Number 11, this was the start of P3. At her hot dog stand, Julie sells hot dogs for $2 each. Purchasing hot dogs and other supplies costs $200 per month. The solution of which of the following inequalities models the number of hot dogs Julie can sell per month and make a profit? First of all, when do I make a profit? Or what is the profit? The profit is the difference between الريفينيو اللي هي الحاجات اللي جات لي الاماونتس اللي بعت بيها overall minus الكوست. So let's see what is first of all الريفينيو الفلوس اللي هتجيلي قد ايه. If she sells each hot dog for $2 and she sold a total of 8 hot dogs زي ما هو بيقول, then الريفينيو اللي هيجيلي كله is 2 times h. This is the revenue minus الكوست. الكوست هو قال انه it's a total of 200 per month. So the 2h is minus 200. I need this to be more than zero because otherwise أنا بخسر. If it's positive أنا بكسب. لو الفرق ده لو البروفيت ده positive يبقى أنا بكسب. لو البروفيت أصغر من زيرو أنا بخسر. So which of the following is the correct one? It's definitely E. Tell me if this makes sense to you or you think مش قوي. إيه يا حبيبتي؟
مش سي.
لا because again أنا عايز الفرق ده. ما هو لو ده الريفينيو ده الفلوس اللي جاية لي وده الكوست then أنا عايز الأوفرول بروفيت اللي هيطلع لي ده. لو هو أصغر من زيرو معناه إن البروفيت اللي جالي بالنيجاتيف so أنا كده بخسر مش بكسب. فاهمة؟ so أنا عايزها تعمل بروفيت يعني أنا عايز الفرق يكون أكبر من زيرو. أي حاجة بالبوزيتيف إن شاء الله تعمل بروفيت $1 بس بروفيت عامة. فاهمة؟
يعني مش قوي يعني بس اوكي.
لا بالراحة كده. أنا لو بعت مثلا for example 10 hot dogs because it should always make sense. 10 hot dogs وأنا بعت الهوت دوج الواحد ب $2 then أنا كده والكوست بتاع الهوت دوجز دي كلها على بعضها أو التكلفة عليا $200 ده الكوست. so أنا هبيع بكام overall أو الفلوس اللي هتجيلي كام؟ 2 times 10 صح؟ ده هيطلع لي 20. المفروض اشيل بقى من ال 20 دي كمان الكوست بتاعي اللي في الاول اللي هو 200. كده هيطلع لي انسر نيجاتيف 180. هو انا لما اعمل نيجاتيف 180 ده انا كده كسبت فلوس؟ انا كده عملت بروفيت؟
لا.
ليه؟ عشان بالنيجاتيف خسرت صح؟ That's the definition of the negative. طيب انا عايز اعمل يبقى انا عايز الكالكوليشن اللي انا عملتها دي بدل ال 10 احط اتش هوت دوجز اهو. فبدل ال 10 دي هحط اتش هوت دوج. فبدل 20 هحط 2 اتش. انا عايز بقى ال 2 اتش minus 200 دي لازم تكون اكبر من زيرو يعني لازم تكون رقم بوزيتيف عشان يبقى اسمه ساعتها بالنسبه لي بروفيت. فاهمه فكرتها كده شويه؟
يعني
لا قولي لي ايه اللي ملخبطك يا كوري؟
يعني فهمت.
لا don't just say فهمتيها. قولي لي ايه اللي لخبطك؟ حاسه بايه يعني، فاهمه ايه اللي حاسه ان انا اوكي لحد ما لازم يكون عندك كويستشن في دماغك، فاهمه؟
لا أنا مش عندي question في دماغي. لما يجي question هقول لحضرتك.
يا حبيبتي ما قصدتش انكوايري، يعني انا في حاجه مش فاهمها ده فببقى بوندر وات از ات، هو في انا مش فاهم ده جه منين مثلا. فانت ايه اللي بالنسبه لك مش منطقي؟ هي ليه اكبر من زيرو ولا اصغر من زيرو؟ ولا مش منطقي ان ليه هي 2 اتش مثلا؟ ولا مش منطقي هي ليه ماينس 200؟ لان هما دول البارتس. فايه فيهم اللي حاسه انه لا مش منطقي؟
اللي هو -200 وليه أكبر أو أصغر من 0.
طب ايه ال 200؟
200 ده الحاجة اللي هي دفعتها في الأول.
اوكي، اللي هو الكوست، اللي هو التكلفه، صح؟
اه
اوكي، وايه هما ال 2 اتش؟
$2.
ايوه، لو كانت 2 دولار بس كنت هكتب 2 بس وخلاص. ليه 2 تايمز اتش؟ الاتش بتريبريزنت ايه؟
number of hot dogs.
صح. سو لما بعمل 2 times the number of hot dogs كده انا بحسب ايه؟ يعني لما عملنا ان هما 10 hot dogs، لما عملنا 2 times 10 كده انا حسبت ايه؟
قد إيه باع؟
حلو. سو بعت بكام، صح؟ مش كام ساندوتش بعته، انا بعت بكام، صح؟
بعت بكام؟
اوكي، سو 2 اتش ده هو ده البيع اللي انا بعته. سو انا بعت ب 1000 جنيه والحاجات انا اشتريتها اصلا تكلفتها ب 200. سو مكسبي ازاي احسبه؟
1000 minus 200.
جود. هو ده بالظبط اللي احنا عملناه. انا بعت ب 2 اتش والكوست عندي ب 200، فلازم اعمل الكوست سوري اللي انا بعت بيه ماينس الكوست، صح؟ دلوقتي انت امتى يبقى اسمك كسبتي فلوس؟ لو لقيتي ان انت باقي معاكي بقى بعد ما عملتي اللي انت بعتي بيه ماينس الكوست، لو لقيتي ان انت مش باقي معاكي فلوس ولقيتي ان انت عليكي فلوس، يبقى انت كده كسبتي ولا خسرتي؟
لو عليا فلوس كده خسرت.
سو لو انت لو عملتي الريفينيو ده اللي هو الانكم اللي دخلك ماينس الكوست والانسر اللي طلعت نيجاتيف، ده كده بروفيت؟
لا.
سو انا عايز ان 2 اتش ماينس 200 تكون اكبر من 0، يعني تكون بوزيتيف، حاجه بوزيتيف، صح؟
اه
ها تمام.
كده فهمتها.
اوكي.
اوكي thank you يا مستر.
You're most welcome. عادي يا حبيبي. Now let's try 12. 12 بيقول لي what is the slope of the line 3x plus 8y equals to 5. This is an extremely easy question. المفروض على طول slope is negative the coefficient of x over the coefficient of y. Negative 3 over 8. That's the slope G. طيب ايه البروبلم انكم بتنسوا كلكم ان كل الناس remembers the slope intercept form mx plus b. they think ان this is the slope and it is actually true, this is the slope على طول. What you memorize is you think انه اي رقم multiplied by x that's the slope. Now that depends entirely on how the equation is written. If it's written in the slope intercept form لو ال y في ناحية لوحدها ساعتها ال m يبقى السلوب. بس لو ال y مش في ناحية لوحدها وال x وال y are on the same side then السلوب بيكون negative the coefficient of x over the coefficient of y. This is an extremely important rule to remember, please. It makes things way easier. في أي problem في 13؟ في 12 sorry. This is a system of equations in 13. In the system of equations, if you're allowed the calculator, طبعا use your calculator right away. The calculator in this case, you'd go for mode 5-1. In some cases, some calculators, it would be mode 3-1. So what you'll need to write are the coefficients اللي هما 1 و 2 و2 بعدين هنا negative 2 و1 و16 و that would give you x equals and y equals على طول. بس let's do it without a calculator. What we're supposed to do is we either use the substitution method or the elimination method. If it's the substitution method, then we'll have to put the x on one side or the y on one side equals to everything else, and then substitute in the other equation. If it's elimination, then we have to have both with the same coefficients. I would recommend the elimination in this case. I'll multiply this by 2, and it would become 2x plus 4y equals 4. And then when I look at these now two equations, this has negative 2 and this has positive 2. عشان eliminate each other, I have to add them up. Then negative 2 plus 2 will cross each other. Then 1 plus 4 will become 5y. Then 16 plus 4 would become 20, which then means that y is equals to 20 divided by 5, which is 4. I got the coordinate of the y. If I need to find the x, I'll substitute this into any of the equations. But when you look at the choices, A is the only choice with the y coordinate 4, so A is definitely the correct answer. There's no need to find the x. Yes يا حبيبي.
مستر أنا مش فاهمة حاجة.
ليه؟
kind of confused في كله honestly. الquestion ده غير المود 5-1.
اوكي. غير المود 5-1؟
غير المود 5-1 وفاهمة إن هو point slope form.
It's not point slope form.
The one where it's ax plus bx equals.
اللي هو standard form, yes.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
But after that مش فاهمة.
It's a system of equations. You remember حتى the beginning of this year we took this one. اللي هو the equations that needs to be solved by each other اللي هو we put the x or the y on one side اللي هي we try to find the value of x or y that solves both equations. So we do that يا إما إن إحنا نخلي الx ناحية لوحدها فنودي 2y الناحية التانية فتبقى x equals 2 minus 2y, and then we substitute this into the other equation مكان الx. So we put negative 2 and then 2 minus 2y plus y equals 16. Then we start distributing, which would become negative 4 plus 4y plus y equals 16. Then we add like terms, so it will become 5y, and we move the negative 4 to the other side, so it becomes 20, which then would give me y equals to 4. Once you have the value of the x or the y, you just need to substitute this into any of the equations and you'll get the other value. So if you go for the upper equation مثلا ادي x plus 2 مكان y I'll substitute the 4, that's all equals to 2, so it means that x plus 8 is equals to 2. I will then move the 8 to the other side, so that would give me x equals to negative 6. That's كده the way we got the first method of getting the point of intersection.
Okay.
Now there's another method, this one is called substitution, because what we did is we substituted both equations in each other. Now this one is called
this is substitution, so?
Yes. This one,
okay.
On the other hand, is called elimination, and it's called elimination because we eliminate one of the variables. Instead of substituting one into the other, we eliminate one of the variables. Not one of the equations, one of the variables. How do we do so? We have to make the coefficients of either the x or the y the same. So when you look at the original equation, this had just x, the coefficient of x was just 1, but this one had a coefficient of x that's negative 2. So I never mind the signs at all for the time being, we just need them to have the same number. And in order to do that, we have to multiply the entire equation by 2. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Once we multiplied the entire equation by 2, that got me a new equation, which is this one. Now I put them under each other, the original, one of the originals and the one that I got. Okay. now they have exactly the same number as the coefficient. This one has 2 here and this one has 2 there. So you start thinking, when would the negative 2x and the 2x eliminate each other? If they got added or if they got subtracted? That's the question. So if they have different signs, this means if they're added, they're going to be eliminated. If they have the same signs, this means we have to subtract them in order to get eliminated. Does this make sense?
Yeah, بس شايفة إن substitution much easier.
To be honest, the substitution is easier only when one of the variables doesn't have a coefficient. Yani it's because here the x doesn't have a coefficient next to it, then it made it easy to move the 2y, and then there's nothing else to divide. But if there's 3 here, for example, when you divide this by 3, it would be extremely complicated in the substitution method later on, or in the substitution step later on. So it actually depends entirely on how the equations are written, and I would actually prefer the elimination, because look at the elimination, it was done in 1, 2, 3 steps, while the substitution was done in 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5th step got me the answer.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the elimination, just make sure that the letters have the same coefficient, and then try to cross them out. You'll be left with an equation to solve, and you'll get the variable that you're missing. Okay?
Yeah, understood. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar. طيب, let's go for 14. It says here, on a map, 1/4 inch represents 16 actual miles. I'll stop right here, and I'll say, أول ما يقول لي 1/4 represents 16. This is somehow a cross multiplication question clearly. There's a rate here. These are the inches, and these are the actual miles. The 1/4 inches represents 16 miles. Now let's read the rest of the question. 2 towns that are 3/4 inches apart on this map are how many actual miles apart? Apparently these are inches as well. واحنا قلنا نحط حاجات اللي زي بعض تحت بعض. So the inches should go under the inches. Right here. 3/4. And then I need to know how many miles are there. In order to do that, I'll just have to cross multiply. And on a calculator, I'll write 3/4 multiplied by 16 and then divided by 1/4. Now, a very common problem that some of you actually write this or type this on a calculator using the wrong input method. So when you type this on a calculator, do not type 2 and then fraction and then you fill 3/4. That's not how it's done. Instead, you should click on Shift A/B, which would give you another new form, which is A/B/C. And you'll have 3 boxes to write in or to input the numbers. There, you'll put the 2, and then you'll put the 3 up here, and then the 4 there. Then you multiply this by 16, and then divide by 1/4. So, let's do this.
بس هي مش A over B
ايه يا حبيبتي اللي مش A/B؟
اللي على الكالكوليتر.
لا، السيمبل بتاعت الفراكشن A/B. انهي اللي هي اللي تحت كلمة شيفت وكالك، اللي هي من فوق على الشمال.
أيوة بالظبط كده. أيوة
A/B. امال هي مكتوبة عندك ايه؟
لا هي مش مكتوبة A over B، هي مرسومة fraction اللي هو
انت الكالكوليتر التاني الجديد. ماشي اوكي. بس it's the same one. فيطلع لي هنا 176 which is this one. صح. So أي حاجة بتريبريزنت بس الفراكشنز this one is called the mixed fraction. Okay. طيب, let's work on 15. دي كانت آخر حاجة في P3. It says which of the following matrices is equals to 4 multiplied by this matrix. This is called scalar multiplication. يعني إيه؟ يعني we're multiplying one number by the entire matrix. So the 4 will be multiplied by each element inside. That would mean إن أنا عندي negative 4 and then 8 and then negative 8 and then 0. So this is the new matrix. إيه ده؟ أنا عملت غلطة قذرة. 4 times negative 4 is supposed to be negative 16, not negative 8. It's E. I'm sorry. Any questions there?
لا يا مستر thank you.
In the next 5 minutes, please solve P4.
واحنا ما خلصناش يا مستر؟
لا المرة دي لا. أنا عادة بخلصها بس أنا يعني معلش خلينا بس نبقى خلصنا حاجة شوية حلوة المرة دي أكتر عشان نبقى المرة اللي جاية بنحل من أول أصعب ليفلز شوية يعني نحل الليفلز P5 المفروض يبقى أصعب سنة.
اوكي ماشي.
So I'll give you 5 minutes P4 and then we'll discuss it right away. Right, let's start with 16. It says that tan A in this triangle below, what is the tan of A? Remember that the tan is supposed to be opposite over adjacent. So we're looking for the opposite of the angle A, and the opposite here is the 15 over the adjacent, which is the 8, not the 17, because the 17 is what we call the hypotenuse. So 15 over 8 is supposed to be my answer, which is J. Moving on to 17, Tina runs at a rate of 8 miles per hour. At that rate, أول ما أشوف كلمة at that rate, probably there is a cross multiplication that's going to happen here somehow. So 8 miles per hour. These are the miles, and these are the number of hours. How many miles will she run in 12 minutes? Which means I have to put the minutes under the minutes, and I don't have minutes here. I first have to change the hours to minutes. Instead of 8 miles in 1 hour, I'll make it 8 miles in 60 minutes because it's the same thing. 1 hour is 60 minutes. Now I'll put the 12 under the minutes and I'll cross multiply. So it's 8 times 12 and then divided by 60. I honestly don't know what's the answer, so let's try that.
That's 96 minutes.
No, 1.6. 8 times 12 بس is 96 صح? And then divided by 60. صح. So it's 1.6, which is on a calculator. When you click on Shift SD, it would be 1/3/5, which is D. Any problems there?
هو ليه عملنا كده؟
معلش يا حبيبتي صوتك كان بيقطع، ممكن تقولي تاني؟
هو احنا ليه عملنا اللي هو تبقى 3 numbers؟
عشان لما عملتها الأول fraction عادي طلعت لي 8/5 ولما جيت بصيت على الchoices ما لقيتش 8/5 لقيت 5/8.
أنا رحت قلبتها افتكرت إن أنا عملت الكروس multiplication غلط فرحت قلبتها.
شاكة في نفسك أكتر ما أنت لا خالص you did it right. بعدين في حاجة تانية هي المفروض تكون 1.6 ف 1.6 ده يعني أكبر من 1 ال 5/8 يعني أصغر من 1 so this is not right. ده أصغر من 1 ما ينفعش. 1.5 1 and a half يعني تطلع 1.5 so برضه ما تنفعش وهي مش 2 فكده كده هي دي حتى لو أنا ما عرفتش بس كده كده بقى ممكن نحسب الحتة دي على الكالكوليتر عادي لما يطلع لك fraction كده وعايز تعرفي هيتكتب ازاي في الميكست فورم just click on shift وبعدين SD. عارفة السيمبل بتاع SD ده اللي هو اوكي so it will get you على طول الانسر ب 1/3/5 بس.
لا أنا بس عشان شكيت بس فقلت كده
قلت انا هغير اللي انا عامله. لا انت كنت عامله صح جدا وكل حاجه. طيب دي you're most welcome يا حبيبتي. دي actually is much easier برضو زي ال f of g دي actually اسهل من f of g of 4 الاولانيه. This is just f of a number so we're supposed to put مكان ال x على طول ال -3 to the power of 2. That would get me -6 times 9 which means that the answer is -54 which is G. برضو on a calculator it would be done in a second. $19, I have this shape, and then you're told that they're asking for the value of the angle, or the measure of angle ABC, which is this angle here. So first of all, because those are parallel, madam di 132, then this one as well is 132 because they have the same exact lengths. There are two ways to move forward. You either get the value of this, and then you try to get the value of this, or you remember that this is an exterior angle, and the exterior angles are equal to the two non-adjacent interior angles، يعني equal الاثنين دول plus بعض. So I can say that الانجل اللي ناقصاني هنا is equals to 132 بقى minus 90. So that's 42. Another way to move forward ان انا اجيب, as I told you, the measure of this angle here, and to do that you will do 180 minus 132, which would be 48. Then since this is 48, عشان اجيب اللي هنا هعمل 180 minus 48 وminus 90 دي كمان, which would lead في الاخر برضه ل 42. Does this make sense?
مستر هو معلش هو 48 حضرتك جبتها ازاي؟
180 minus 132 عشان المفروض اللاين ده يبقى عليه كده كله على بعضه 180 degrees. حتة منه هنا ب 132. So الباقي قد ايه؟ بعمل 180 minus 132.
انا وقفت عند ال 48 وبعد كده رحت حطيته 48.
المفروض دي بقى الانجل دي، بس لسه انا عايز اجيب اللي فوق هنا. فده دلوقتي بقى another triangle اهو، وعندي في الانجل هنا دي ب 48 بس مش عارف دي بكام. So لازم اعمل 180 minus ال 48 وminus ال 90. Sure?
Thank you.
Most welcome يا حبيبي. Number 20, last one. Marcus programs his calculator to evaluate a linear function. أول ما شفت كلمة linear على طول هفكر في slope. So, but he doesn't say what the function is. When 5 is entered, the calculator displays 2. This is considered a point. لما كانت ال x ب 5 ال y طلعت ب 2. This is what the function do. لما حطيت 5 يعني لما كان ال x ب 5، لما كان ال input 5 ال output طلع 2 اللي هو ال y. And then when 15 is entered, so the x دلوقتي ب 15, the calculator displays the value 6, ال y ب 6. So which of the following expressions explains what the calculator will display when any number n is entered. يعني they need the equation somehow. As I told you, think of the slope عشان هي كلمة linear, because عندي points, so the slope right away would go for y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. يعني عندي 6 minus 2 over 15 minus 5. 6 minus 2 would be 4. 15 minus 5 is 10. Simplify this, يعني 2 over 5. This is the slope. When you look at the options or the answers, none of those answers في slope 2 over 5 except F. دي الوحيدة 2 over 5. هنا 5 over 2. هنا 1 و1 و5 over 2. So F must be the correct answer. Does this make sense? Yes يا حبيبتي.
مستر هو كان في ال question أصلا هو كان عايز إيه؟
عايز الاكسبريشن اللي بتريبريزنت الموضوع ده، يعني عايز الفانكشن، عايز الايكويشن بتاعت اللينير فانكشن اللي هي زي y equals mx plus b. فاهمة؟ فأنا جبت ال m اللي هو السلوب أهو اللي هو 2 over 5. ممكن كنت أحط مكان ال y 2 ومكان ال m أهو 2 over 5 ومكان ال x اللي هي ال 5 وبلس b. لو جيت أحل دي هتطلع لي هنا ب 2 plus b equals 2، وال 2 تروح الناحية التانية فتبقى ال b ب0. Now ال b ب0 والسلوب ب 2 over 5 تبقى الإيكويشن y equals 2 over 5x. بس هو مش عايزها تبقى مكتوبة بالمنظر ده، هو عايزها تكون any number n، يعني بدل x حط n، فبقت المفروض y equals 2/5n. هو ده اللي الكالكوليتر هيديسبلاي 2/5n لو أنا حطيت أي number n. فاهمة الفكرة؟
انا طلعت لي 2/5 ورحت حطيتها 5/2
لا برضه
عشان برضه يعني برضه نفس
عشان
الغباء.
شكيتي في نفسك. لا ما انت ماشيه صح برضه. now you need to be confident شويه في اللي انت بتعمليه because it's based على منطق. احنا مش بنعمل اصل بلس وماينس وخلاص، لا احنا عملنا y2 minus y1 ونقينا وعملناهم صح خلاص. ما تشكيش بقى في اللي انت بتعمليه. فاهمه؟
اوكي ماشي.
بليز عشان خاطري do the exit ticket. لا يا حبيبتي على ايه.